Good. So the meeting will come to order. The time is now 5:33 p.m. on Monday, November 21st, 2022. This is a regular meeting of the District of Columbia Commission on the Arts and Humanities. My name is Reggie Van Lee, Chairperson of the Commission. I am wearing a white shirt with blue and burgundy stripes on it. I will now call the roll. When you hear your name, please answer present. Stacy.
Present.
Cora.
Present.
Maggie. Juanice. Natalie.
Present.
Kymber. Mariah. Carla.
Present.
Hector. Gretchen.
Present. I think Mariah is also present.
Oh, Mariah. Yes, Mariah. We see you. We can't hear you, though. Mariah, can you hear us? We see her. We certainly have a quorum. A quorum is present. This is a meeting of a public body held in open session in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. Notice of the meeting was posted on the Commission's website, dcarts.dc.gov, and on the DC Office of Open Government's Central Meetings calendar. The meeting is being conducted both at CAH's offices on Webex and is being live streamed to the Commission's YouTube channel. An electronic recording of the meeting will be available for viewing online following the conclusion of the meeting. I'll now read the land acknowledgement. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life, and some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connections across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. We stand on the ancestral lands of the Nacotchtank and Piscataway people. We pay respects to their elders, past and present. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together here today. And please join us in uncovering such truths at any and all public events and to use such truths to guide the legacy of this Arts Commission. The first item of business is the consent calendar. Is there any objection to the items listed on the consent calendar? Hearing no objection, the items are adopted and approved as noted. We have two speakers scheduled to give public comments from the Leah McCartney project. We have Owen Manning and Naseem Haamid joined us. So please, Mr. Manning, Mr. Haamid, you can proceed with the comments.
Good evening, all. My name is Naseem Haamid. I'm the co-founder of the Leah McCartney project. First and foremost, I would like to express my gratitude to you all for allowing us to participate in public comment today. So as I stated, I'm the co-founder of the Leah McCartney project, which is a mural project at the George Washington University to honor the first Black woman to graduate from GW, inspired by the course Black feminist theory from lemons to lemonade, taught by Dr. Jordan S. West. With the support of the university president, we created a mural in partnership with Chanel Compton, a local artist in DMV, to honor the first Black woman to graduate from GW. Through this initiative, a mosaic that you see up now on the Webex is entitled "A Seat at the Table," a tribute to Leah McCartney, honoring Judge McCartney, which will be displayed at the center of campus in front of Gelman's Library. We are currently in the fundraising phase, so the mural is not up until we raise the funds to initiate the start of the artist beginning her work on campus. And it is a vision, as I stated, to provide a permanent space to honor Judge McCartney. So to give you all some background on Judge McCartney, following her experience in higher education at the George Washington University, McCartney became the first female municipal judge of record in Missouri, a distinction for which the Missouri Senate commended her on. In 1977, Judge McCartney became the first African American to serve on the Missouri Public Service Commission. At the time of her death in 1984, Judge McCartney was serving on the board of directors for the Missouri United Methodist Foundation. And as stated, the purpose of this project is to honor her as the first Black woman to graduate from the George Washington University. I'll be passing it over shortly to the other co-founder, Owen Manning, who will give a breakdown of logistics and the financial breakdown. But the seat at the table is going to be a collaborative community project in partnership with the local DC community and the George Washington University. It will engage students from the George Washington University and local community partners led by Chanel Compton, the artist, and community members will create custom tiles as a part of a large mural mosaic that celebrates the life legacy of Leah Brock McCartney that we hope will soon become a reality in the DC community and in the George Washington University community. So I'll pass it over to Owen.
Thank you, Naseem. I appreciate it. And as Naseem mentioned, we are very elated to be here with you all. And just thank you for a listening ear. Something that is really core to this project is making sure, and really it's exemplified in the artwork itself. And the quote says, if Black women were free, it would mean everyone else is free, since our freedom would necessitate the destruction of all of the systems of oppression. And that was something that Naseem and I thought through, and it was something that we learned in the course. But it really does talk about intersectionality, a term coined by Kimberly Crenshaw years ago. And it really talks about the conflicting levels of oppression that affect Black women because they're African American, but also because they're women. And when we talk about the impact of this project, it's larger than the quote that came out in 1977 and that was a part of the Combahee River Collective statement, but also about how it's going to affect each student and each other member of the DC community. It's larger than GW, which is why we wanted to talk to you all about it. Currently, we've raised $150,000 in the quiet phase, where we haven't really gone very wide on social media or other avenues in order to raise the money and get the mural up. But it's been quiet, intimate conversations with donors who've really joined us in this cause and also have really shared us with the vision, but also the passion behind this project. And the reason why the project came to be was because we recognized that there was a need for it. GW has a large building, the freshman year dormitory, named after the first white woman who graduated from George Washington University. And they recently did a multi-million-dollar investment into that building in the renovation. But we figured that there needs to be something that goes to support and to celebrate the first Black woman to receive a degree. And that's what we decided to do, and we sought it out to do, because it was something that needed to happen from the university, but also something that the DC community needed as well. And this is $150,000 that we've already raised of the $400,000 project. And now it's talked sort of about the logistics behind it. And it is going to be a community project. So we hope that you all can join us in this effort, and we can find ways to collaborate in amplifying, but also additional efforts in order to get this completed. We thank you again for your time. We know that it is precious. So thank you again.
We thank you very much for the project. Another example of what I describe as hidden figures in our community that we're not aware of as we should be. So thank you for bringing this awareness to the commission, and let us know how we can be helpful. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Next.
Thank you.
You're on mute.
Reggie, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Did you hear any of what I said? Should I start over? I would say next, please join me in welcoming Elena Kayal. FY23 marks her 6th year as a music fellow with CAH. Her mission as an artist is to showcase traditional music genre, to preserve their integrity, while also building upon them to make something new, exciting, and relevant to our present movement. Welcome, Elena, and our ongoing effort to bring the arts into these meetings and have artists to present to us. So welcome and thank you.
Thank you.
Prefiero morir bailando. Prefiero morir de amor. Mejor estar sola y tranquila, ay, que en el engaño de tu sudor. Prefiero morir bailando, eso. Prefiero morir de amor. Mejor dejar atrás tus mentiras, ay, que maltratar este corazón. Pa pom 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 pa pom 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 pa pom 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 pom. Con ese ritmo viene la noche. Con el calor llega la aventura. No hay que vivir con la amargura, ay, que siempre trae el desamor. Eso. Y cuando bailo me lleva el ritmo. Con la cintura te digo todo. Solo volver a amar lentamente, con alguien que me trate mejor. Pa pom 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 pa pom 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 pa pom 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 pom. Prefiero morir bailando, eso. Prefiero morir de amor. Aquí en Washington DC, mejor estar sola y tranquila, ay, que en el engaño de tu sudor. Prefiero morir bailando. Prefiero morir de amor. Mejor dejar atrás tus mentiras, ay, que maltratar este corazón. Pa pom 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 pa pom 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 pa pom 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 pom. Tú me dejaste muy bien plantada. No volveré a entregarme toda. Que mi felicidad es mía. Ay, que nadie más me la quitará. La música es mi compañía. Amor que nunca marchitará. Como el espíritu de mi gente en este trópico continente, en mi país hecho de calor. Pa pom 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 pa pom 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 pa pom 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 pom. Prefiero morir bailando, eso. Prefiero morir de amor. Aquí con el DC Commission on Arts and Humanities, eso. Mejor estar sola y tranquila, ay, que en el engaño de tu sudor. Prefiero morir bailando. Prefiero morir de amor. Mejor dejar atrás tus mentiras, que maltratar este corazón. Pa pom 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 pa pom pom pom. Yay!
Bravo.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very glad to be here. I've gotten so much support from the DC Commission on Arts and Humanities, and it's part of the reason I'm able to continue to live in my favorite city, the best city, in my opinion, in the country, Washington, D.C. And so thank you all so much for having me, and for supporting, not only my work, but the work of so many artists in the district. So that was an original song. It's called Morir Bailando. And I was asked to do some music kind of around Dia de los Muertos. So that's an original, and it's about dancing and feeling liberated and feeling comfortable with oneself, but it isn't it has the word death in it. But I'm gonna also do a traditional song. This is one that you might know, possibly. It's called La Llorona, and kind of in interesting to come after the presentation on women who, hidden figures and women who are, often not acknowledged in history. And so La Llorona is like a folk tale, and it's a Mexican folk tale. It's about a woman who she's kind of like a ghost, and she kind of haunts when the winds blow. She's kind of like the explanation. It's like her crying, and so there's a lot of mysticism around her. So this song is very popular anyway, and I thought it would be an appropriate one to do to honor Dia de los Muertos. So thank you again for having me, and I'll leave you with this. Salías del templo un día, llorona, cuando al pasar yo te vi. Salías del templo un día, llorona, cuando al pasar yo te vi. Hermoso huipil llevabas, llorona, que en la Virgen te creí. Hermoso huipil llevabas, llorona, que en la Virgen te creí. Ay, de mi llorona, llorona de un campo lirio. Ay, de mi llorona, llorona, llorona de un campo lirio. El que no sabe de amores, llorona, no sabe lo que es martirio. El que no sabe de amores, llorona, no sabe lo que es martirio. No sé qué tienen las flores, llorona, las flores de un campo santo. No sé qué tienen las flores, llorona, las flores de un campo santo, que cuando las mueve el viento, llorona, parece que están llorando, que cuando las mueve el viento, llorona, parece que están llorando. Dos besos llevo en el alma, llorona, que no se apartan de a mí. Dos besos llevo en el alma, llorona, que no se apartan de mí. El último de mi madre, ay, llorona, y el primero que te di. El último de mi madre, ay, llorona, y el primero que te di. Ay de mí, ay de mí, ay de mí, llorona. Ay de mí, ay de mí, ay de mí, llorona. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yet another pleasant reminder of why we're here. Thank you. Amazing talent. So happy for you to be a part of our family.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. So now, David, you get to follow that act.
I was just thinking that, Reggie. It's impossible. Even if I wanted to, I'm just recovering from a cold, so I'm all crackly. So I'll just speak my report. I won't sing it. So Good evening, everyone. My name is David Markey. I am the Interim Executive Director. I'm a middle-aged white man with short gray hair, blue check shirt, and I'm wearing glasses. The fiscal year to date, we're about 6 or 7 weeks into the new year, and grant managers in both the grants and public art departments are busily securing required paperwork for approximately 900 grantees. The grants process, as many of you know, is a layered one. There's often significant back and forth between grant managers and grantees in this process as they try to assist with issues around clean hands, insurance, and also budget changes based on project scope adjustments. Once the agreements are fully executed, awards move into the payment processing system for purchase orders to be established. There have been some additional challenges this year with the new financial system. There's the District Integrated Financial System, or DIFS, D-I-F-S for short. There are teething pains, as it were, with all agencies across the city. And so staff members here are in the process of remediating some of those challenges with colleagues across several agencies. A special thanks to Robert Nunez for taking the lead on that. As I said, the process is a layered one because as well as routing paperwork, grant managers have also begun to assemble panelist feedback, or the notes from the panels, most of which we convened during the summer, to send to applicants and grantees and to engage them in the debriefing process. We wish for all applicants to be successful in our processes and encourage applicants to receive panelist comments and engage in meetings with grant managers so they can build upon the strengths of their applications for future cycles. And to note too, this sort of deep engagement in the debriefing process is one of the 44 recommendations from the task force on equity, inclusion, and belonging. We mentioned at the end of the last fiscal year that CAH issued approximately 1,400 awards in FY22. Now we are at a point where a similar number of reports are due. And so grant managers have begun to review and approve those. So as I said, it's layered, a layered process. And then another piece of the process, which is also a critical piece, is grant managers try as best they can to engage their grantees by going on site visits. This is a pretty significant or vital part of the work they do. Not only is it an indicator of CAH's support for organizations and individuals beyond the dollars of the grant award, but it also provides grant managers with a better understanding of both the successes and challenges of the community. And in turn, it enables grant managers to bring that intel, as it were, back to the agency and have it influence or impact the grants and programmatic opportunities. So they're sort of reflective practitioners, as it were. While both the grants and public art departments run pretty parallel in many of their application and award processes, and direct engagement with grantees tends to be a little deeper and more sort of ongoing throughout the grant period for the public art grantees. Some examples of such ongoing engagement include the work of the curatorial art exhibition grant that Sarah Gordon manages, the Barry Legacy Project grant, which Deirdre Darden is currently managing, and then our public art building communities grant, which Kerry Kennedy is managing. Just last week, the Public Art Department co-presented one of this year's PABC grants or projects to the Commission of Fine Arts for approval. I mentioned that the grant managers are reflective practitioners. It's a really important part of what it is we do. Last week, there was a grants revamp session, which is really an opportunity for us to stop, even though we're just for 4 hours, and take stock of what we're doing, why we're doing it. Is there a way that we can do what we're doing better to be more responsive to and reflective of community need? Another example of such reflection is around our panel process. And this probably started about a month ago. It was initiated by our arts education manager, Allery Clark. And it was really an opportunity for us to look inwardly on the evolving needs of the community and how we might in turn morph, change, adjust, edit, as it were, the panel process to better reflect the changing world in which we live. So the Grants Department has embarked on assessing this current structure for several reasons. One, to establish a baseline of understanding as to the current process, so i.e. to make sure that we're all singing from the same hymn sheet, as it were, that we all have the same or similar understanding of the terms, what they mean to us, to the community, and then to in turn better identify gaps in knowledge and understanding, to establish clear and consistent processes across all grant programs, and then last but not least, to enable us to better strategize around panel recruitment and then onboarding of those panelists. So this is an example of, as I said, that sort of reflective process. Some of it is ongoing, it happens, it's sort of formative, but then we try to also be intentional about finding these sort of summative moments of assessment and in order to inform the program, the programs. Upcoming next week, actually, we plan to launch the FY23 cycle of a Facilities and Buildings Relief Grant. It's scheduled to launch on November 28th. This will be the third year that CAH has been able to offer this opportunity to assist arts and humanities organizations in rent or mortgage payments for their facilities. And the application will be open for approximately a month. Because it's classed as a relief program, it doesn't go through the typical panel process, and we're able to do an internal review, and we craft the application accordingly, so it's pretty clean cut in terms of eligibility. Looking forward to FY24. Yes, FY24 is already in our sight lines. The week before last, we presented our proposed FY 2024 budget to the Mayor's Budget Office. I believe it went pretty well. It was well received. They had really great questions for us around key initiatives that we were hoping to embark on. We tried to align our goals for FY24 with the priorities of the Mayor's Office and Council. And we've been pretty ambitious and hopefully reflective of the interest of the community and the desire of the commissioners to move on certain initiatives. So there's a lot of new programming that we anticipate engaging in FY24, and coupled with that is building out the staff to ensure that we are able to deliver that programming successfully. As I said, 2024 seems a long way off. It's only 10 or 11 months away. So the plan is to sort of scaffold into that with both the programming, the engagement, and then also building out the team at the agency. While grant making is our core responsibility, we again engage in a lot of other pieces. I won't spend too long talking through them, not to minimize their importance, but just to highlight a couple. Thanks to Allery and Terrell for moving forward 2 opportunities for staff to engage in all things IDEA. We believe that it's really, really important for us as staff members, both the programmatic people in the grants department, public art, arts education, but also the non-program staff, to really have a better understanding as to the fullness and the potential of IDEA. So there are a couple of workshops that we're scheduling for December, and then there'll be a follow-up with a workshop early in the new year that is specific to access and inclusion as it relates to disability. You're also aware of the success of the artist table, and we continue to build out on that event to ensure that it's more than a one-off opportunity. An example of that is that Lauren and Sarah have arranged for the 15 artist portraits that were created as part of that initiative to appear in, or to live, as it were, in our virtual gallery online, so that they'll be accessible on an ongoing basis. Last month, we talked about the Create and Thrive initiative, which is an initiative for older adults working with teaching artists. Allery and Camille have been partnering with Arts for the Aging, who facilitated 2 trainings this past month for 14 teaching artists to help build their skills and understanding and working with older adults. And then once the teaching artists are paired up, they'll begin co-planning so that they're ready to deliver residencies to older adults and senior centers over the winter and early spring. A couple of other pieces in the arts education department. Words on Fire is now in its 2nd year. This is a build out of the Poetry Out Loud program, which is the NEA program that we've had for many years. And already, even though the Words on Fire Festival is moving into its 2nd year, there's been some increased momentum. And I believe that there are approximately 16 high schools that are interested in participating this year. More information on that program will come. It's scheduled to take place over a weekend, 2 days over a weekend in the middle of March. And then finally, oh, sorry.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
it's Mariah. I have a quick question. What's the
Of
difference
course.
between, there's Words on Fire, but then there's also the poetry. So how are they different?
Yes, thank you for asking that question, Mariah. So Poetry Out Loud, excuse me, is sort of the more traditional NEA sponsored program, and it is pre-existing poetry. It's more of a recitation competition, and it's pre-existing poetry that is committed to memory and then recited by students. Last year, Allery and Camille decided that they wanted to build out on that and give young people the opportunity who may not consider themselves as performers, but still love poetry and write poetry to participate. So they built out this what had been a one-day event with Poetry Out Loud into a 2-day festival. And so the 2nd day of the festival includes the work of young people who are pen to paper poets, but also spoken word poets as well. So they're actually, the spoken word poets are performing their own work rather than performing the work of other poets.
That's great. Good for you all for figuring out how to expand upon a wonderful.
Yeah, as I said, credit goes to Allery and Camille for that. And then again, the arts education has always had more programming. It's always partially in grants and partially its own shop with its arts education programming. This year, Celebrate the Creative Spark is back. This program started probably 7 or 8 years ago, and really as a response to, at the time, there was a real push to develop the creative economy, or to have the arts be an engine behind the creative economy. And so we sort of saw it as sort of a system that in order to have sort of a creative economy as an output, we had to have creative ideas and creative individuals as the input. So we created this, it was originally a 3-session residency program where artists would go into classrooms and share the generative nature of how they work. So it wasn't about a dance instructor going in and teaching the young people 2 dances and then performing the dances. It was really about what is the impulse behind movement, what, causes us to move as human beings, or to open our mouths and to sing or to improvise. That program has been very successful. There, of course, are challenges, over COVID, but this year, again, Allery and Camille are committed to making it happen, and we'll partner with the DC Arts and Humanities Education Collaborative, which is a strong foothold in the public and public charter school systems. They have, I think, over 120 key communicators in the schools, and so they will help us place these residencies at schools across the city. Finally, I'd just like to touch on organizational culture and some staffing updates. I previously mentioned that Shireen Williams was scheduled to come and work with staff, non-management staff, and so she has started to do so. She has a couple more sessions with staff after Thanksgiving, and really, it's an opportunity for her to be a sounding board, to listen to issues, concern, be a sounding board with the ultimate goal of helping us build a more cohesive and positive workplace environment at the agency. And then once she's finished her work, or this phase of her work, she'll circle back to leadership to share out, and hopefully we can remediate and build on, build out from where she's left us. FY 2022 end of year reviews are all tied up. Our HR person, Denise, is delighted about that. And we're also in the coming weeks, we'll be finalizing SMART goals and plans for FY 23. And then finally, just some quick hiring updates. We have a wonderful new executive assistant who's scheduled to join us on December 5th. We also have a new grants manager who is traveling across the country to come and join us at the beginning of January. General counsel interviews are close to being completed, and we have several strong candidates in the mix and hope to onboard a new general counsel early in 2023. Maggie is not with us this afternoon, but the search process for the executive director is moving pretty swiftly. And I believe the goal for identifying a new one is early in the new year. Sorry, did somebody wish to say something? No?
I'd like to know the gender and the race of the new people. I heard a lot of he. I was wondering if there was any she's in there.
Oh, I don't believe I mentioned gender.
You didn't mention the gender, you mentioned the pronoun.
Okay, sorry.
Let's just answer the question. Who are they? You said you brought on 2 new people. Somebody coming from across the country. That's fascinating. Where are they coming from?
So these are personnel matters. I have to be pretty general about them. If you have any specific questions, it's probably best to direct them to Reggie. And
whoa, hold it. Just a minute. She just gave a report. I was half doing something else. I was trying to catch back up. And because I didn't know that we had, you said an executive assistant. There's a new executive assistant and then another grants manager that coming across the country, right? That's your report, right?
So I mentioned 4 positions, one of which was an executive assistant. That person is scheduled to onboard on December 5th. A grants management specialist is set to join us in early January. General counsel, those interviews are near completion. And so the hope is to have somebody on board early in 2023.
Okay, all I was asking you is the grants manager, is it a male or a female? Is that a secret?
No, it's not a secret right now, but
Well,
it's
just
in
answer the question. That's not
it's
a
in
big deal.
it's in process. So
Ask for a name. I just asked, is it a man or a woman? I don't know how that's complicated. If it's too complicated, move on.
okay, it is too complicated, so I'm going to move on. So that's the end of my report. Thank you.
A lot of good work underway. I know we're sensitive to diversity issues, so we will address that offline, Cora.
Well, I was also interested in somebody coming in from out of town. That was also interesting to me that somebody's coming in from, he said across the country, and I was just wondering what they, I don't even understand why that's a big deal. That to me is just some information. I don't get it.
So any other questions, comments on the ED report? If not, I'll insert just a quick little update from the chairman's standpoint on 3 points. First, I've sent emails to, I think, all the commissioners and some of the senior staff around the mayor's program around Together DC, as well as the mayor's racial equity plan, and how not only are we aligned with the spirit of the things that the mayor's trying to do, but I think we have an opportunity to be a leader in that space and as far as some of the things that we're doing. So just wanted you to know that this is good news, and we will continue in that vein. The second thing is around the two parts of the vision that I've talked about before. The first being us becoming the state arts agency equivalent of a Ford Foundation, but indeed creating a foundation arm for the commission. And there's work underway to understand how that's done. We at least have one example in the DC government, the library, DC Library, that has done this. And so we're speaking with them and seeing what we can learn from that. But our intention is to proceed with exploring how can we create a separate arm or connected arm or whatever the logistics would be around the foundation, both so that things that we perhaps are encumbered from doing as an arts agency, but perhaps would not be as a foundation we could do. And then certainly so that we can offer ideally to our constituents, the artists, the ability for us to serve as their fiscal sponsor so that they can then receive tax deductible donations. In the absence of them being a 501c3, they have to be connected to some fiscal sponsor that does have that 501c3 status, and we can hopefully become that for the artists. Nothing's written in stone yet, no promises or commitments yet. We are moving ahead and with that foundation work. The third and last thing I want to talk about was also the second part of the vision I talked about evolving from Art All Night into a DC version of Art Basel. And that has gotten a lot of resonance with people. Just about everyone I've spoken to about, including I've had meetings with 2 of our council members, are really excited about it and have offered up their assistance and us helping make this happen for us. A delegation of us are planning to go down for Art Basel this year. It's December 1st. It's actually November 29th to December 3rd. A number of us are going around December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And right now, Lauren and Terrell are going from the staff, funded by the commission, and a number of the commissioners are going at our own expense at this point. Carla, Gretchen, Cora, myself. And what I wanted to do is any other commissioners who are interested in this trip, knowing it's at your own expense, you're invited to join us and be a part of the delegation. I need to get the names to the people so that we can get our VIP access for when we're there. But the goal is not only to just go and see Art Basel for those who haven't seen it, but to get some special time with the very senior people there so that we can talk more about if and how this Arts Commission can move towards creating an Art Basel in DC. So I just wanted to give you those updates that, things that are said in meetings before don't get lost, don't die, don't get forgotten. But we are pushing ahead with the foundation work and the Art Basel work. Any questions or comments on that?
Nothing other than I will be at Art Basel doing a go-go panel, so I would love to join the delegation.
Okay, I will add you. Do you need the VIP access or do you already have it?
No, I need that Reggie Van Lee access, please.
I
What
don't know
what are
about
your
that.
what are your
Please
dates?
and thank you.
Natalie,
Uh-huh.
what are your dates?
December 1st through the 3rd.
Oh, so you're gonna be there at the exact same time? Oh, okay.
Good.
Because I
Is
know
it,
Reggie said it started on the 29th, you said, Reggie.
yeah, the public part is the 1st through the 3rd, and the private stuff precedes that, which normally I'm able to go to, but I have a conflict. So the soonest I can get there is the 1st anyway. So anybody on the call, any other commissioner that now can tell me, as Natalie has, that you'd want to participate? You don't have to tell me now, but tell me in the next couple of days. But anybody right now that may want to go that hasn't already been signed up? Good. Any other questions? So I know there are a couple of phone numbers on the line. Are either of them Kymber or Brian by chance for the finance report? If not, I think David can give us a high level, just sort of update on the finance report so that that report is given in some form or fashion. So,
Sure, of course, and I apologize, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I thought that Brian or Kymber would be with us. So good news. I know it's just the start to the year, but dedicated tax revenue is trending positively. So partway through the year, we'll sort of make an assessment as to whether it's going to continue that in that direction. And so we'll circle back to each committee the entire commission and each committee to let them know. And we very well may, have some other opportunities, grant opportunities, relief opportunities, that type of thing later in the year. And then earlier in my report, I mentioned this new district integrated financial system. One of the kinks in it was that new codes were assigned because it's a new system. It has its own codes. And so approximately $7 million was miscoded in our budget. And because our budget falls in very specific percentages, it's going to take a little while to reprogram it back to its original bucket. But the Office of the Chief Financial Officer is working on it to remediate it as quickly as possible. But otherwise, things are moving pretty quickly. I know both Terrell and Lauren's teams are moving paperwork, and so we're getting as many of those executed agreements to Kia to enter RQs into the system. So.
Any questions, comments? Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
It's my understanding that there are no grant programs slated for approval and no votes necessary today at all. So I don't think we need any other official committee reports other than that brief update on finance.
Well, can I add something to that, please? I'm sorry.
Yes. No problem.
I'm sorry. When I was on the phone with this meeting, I got a call from DGS. Brian's not on the phone. I'm not sure if David is aware of it, but I know that with the Marion Berry mural project, they had hit a snag, so to speak, in terms of the MOU and the financing. It got complicated. If I'm incorrect about this, David, you feel free to jump in. But originally, we got 150 or 175,000 from the chair of the council that was sent to DGS to initiate the project, but it was under the category of projects or programs, and so it then had to be done within the fiscal year, of course, which was an impossibility for a project this massive. So under the circumstances, I was informed, I think all of us were, that the money had converted back to the general fund because it was not converted to capital. And capital gives you a pretty much an open-ended deadline. Well, while I was on the phone with you, I got a call from someone at DGS, and they did they added some money to it because the base that you have to have a minimum of $250,000 in order to convert it to capital. And so they did that. So what I was told, and you can check this, David, that one, they converted it, added more money, and gave us $250, $50,000 when we only had 100 and I don't know if it was 50, 175, and we have the money. So they said they would send the code so I could verify. So we have the money plus money to add to the project. That was the update I got. When I got on the phone, was asking you those questions, David. It was because I was on another call, catching that call about that finance, and so I was going to share it with Brian, but he's not here. So that's an update. So I guess it's good news.
Thanks, Cora. Yes, those monies, we were worried that the $175,000, because it was local funds, that they would expire at the end of the fiscal year before they were capitalized. But yeah, I'll circle back with Lauren and Brian to make sure that's all moving forward. I did speak with somebody at the OCFO on Friday afternoon who'd been working with Haran on it at the beginning of August. So that's a great update. Thank you, Cora.
And once that's done, then I guess the MOU can move forward. Is that what we're saying?
Yep, I have the MOU on my desk. So
Okay. Well, that's some good news. We got the money back and some more.
Good. The gift that keeps giving.
That's right.
I like this. You like this? So any other questions or comments on anything we discussed? The director's report, the finance report, my comments, any of that? I don't want anybody to feel rushed. We can't pick up new agenda items because that's against the law, but we can certainly comment or question on things we discussed. If not, then there's no new business as I understand it. Is there any new business from anyone's perspective? If not, thank you all for your time. The next meeting of the commission will be on Monday, December 20th, 2022. The time is now 6:24 p.m. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
That's happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you all.
Happy Thanksgiving. It's Mariah. I don't think my audio wasn't working. I just wanted to be sure you knew I was on the call.